On this Thursday night, Parliament's push for a public inquiry into foreign interference.
I declare the motion carried.
Fresh demands for a probe after an MP at the centre of Chinese influence allegations quits the Liberal caucus.
My presence there may be seen by some as a conflict of duty.
The American president comes to Canada. What to expect from Joe Biden's first official visit to Ottawa? And the border deal reportedly already on the table. Plus, TickTock CEO pushes back against calls to ban his company.
If this committee gets its way, TickTock's time is up.
What he said during 5 hours of testimony in the U.S.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. There are more developments tonight in the story Global News broke about allegations against a Toronto MP. Han Dong resigned from the Liberal caucus last night after our story aired. He now sits as an independent MP, and today he voted in favor of a public inquiry into foreign interference. National security sources tell Global News Dong advised a Chinese diplomat in 2021 to delay the release of the Canadians Michael Spavor and Michael Korvig from a Chinese jail. While announcing his departure from the Liberal caucus last night, Dong denied that.
Media reports today quoting unverified and anonymous sources have attacked my reputation and called into questions my loyalty to Canada. Let me be clear. What has been reported is false, and I will defend myself against these absolutely untrue claims.
It has only added to the demands for answers about what the government knew when. Mackenzie Gray has our top story tonight.
All those in favor of the motion will please rise.
It's the latest attempt from the opposition to pressure the Liberals on foreign interference.
I declare the motion carried.
The NDP, Conservatives and Bloc all supported a non-binding motion calling for a public inquiry. The Liberals voted against it.
There are communities that are at risk of being stigmatized, and the only way for us to address all the seriousness of this, get to the bottom of it, and propose real solutions is with a public inquiry.
Newly minted independent MP Han Dong voted in favor of a public inquiry after he announced last night he was leaving the Liberal caucus.
Sitting the government caucus is a privilege, and my presence there may be seen by some as a conflict of duty.
Dong's move to sit as an independent comes after Global News reported that in February 2021, Dong had a conversation with the Chinese Consul General in Toronto, where he allegedly said Beijing should hold off on immediately releasing Michael Korvig and Michael Spavor because it would be politically beneficial for the Conservative Party, according to two independent national security sources. Dong admitted he spoke with the top diplomat, but said he advocated for the two Michaels' release.
I want to assure Mr. Michael Spavor and Mr. Michael Korvig and their families that I did nothing to cause them any harm.
At the end of his speech, Dong got emotional, thanking his family.
To my wife, Sophie, and my kids, I love you. I thank you for all the support and love you gave me. The truth will protect us. Our honor and our family will get through this together. Sorry about that. Thank you, Speaker.
What do you make about Mr. Dong?
Cabinet ministers supported Dong's decision.
I think given the seriousness of the allegations, he made the right decision.
He claims that that is false, and we'll give him a chance to prove it.
The Prime Minister's office said it was not aware of the discussion when it happened in February 2021. The PMO said it learned about it from Dong, but only after Global News reached out for comment on the story. But in question period, the Foreign Affairs Minister would not say when the Prime Minister learned about the Dong conversation.
When did the Prime Minister become aware of these allegations?
Bringing back the two Michaels, Michael Korvig and Michael Spavor, was the utmost priority of this government.
One person we haven't heard from, Justin Trudeau. He's preparing for the Joe Biden visit, but Donna, he's expected to take questions from reporters tomorrow, where he'll likely be asked about the Dong allegations.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa, thanks. The American president, Joe Biden, is in Ottawa. He arrived tonight for a working visit with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. This is Biden and his wife Jill's first visit to Canada since Biden was elected president. It's the first visit to Ottawa by a U.S. president since former President Barack Obama was here in 2016. David Akin is at the Ottawa airport where the president arrived earlier tonight. David, these meetings more than symbolic. They actually want to get stuff done. What's on the agenda?
They do, and there is lots on the agenda, Don. I mean, China, Ukraine, the climate crisis, the opioid crisis, electric vehicle manufacturing, international trade, lots of stuff. But let me focus on two important headlines we're going to talk about over the next, 20 hours or so. First, immigration. Canada's got a problem with what's called irregular immigration. Some call it illegal immigration. This is a situation where thousands of people are walking into Canada from the United States, mostly at Roxham Road in Quebec, but all in Emerson, Manitoba, and elsewhere. These people come here, claim refugee status, and Canada cannot turn them away, or else Canada would be breaking treaty obligations with the U.S. Canada and the U.S. have been trying to work this out, and I can tell you, government officials, Canadian government officials, telling me tonight there is a solution on the table to stop the Roxham Road situation and illegal migration. The two leaders have to sign off on it. Still some fine points to work out, but we expect that headline tomorrow. Some good news for those who want to see more regular migration. Now, the other big issue, Haiti. Both leaders are horrified at what they're seeing in Haiti. It's a failed state, lawless gangs roaming the streets. Of course, Canada has a special relationship with Haiti because of all the Haitian immigrants in Montreal, the Haitian community in Montreal. But what can Canada do? The U.S. may ask Canada for some military assets. Canada's military right now overstretched. We've got a big commitment to Western Europe to help defend Western Europe against Russian invasion. So we'll look for that. Those headlines, Haiti, immigration, and then, as I said, a whole basket of other topics the two leaders are going to talk about.
Okay, and David, President Biden is staying in Ottawa overnight with his wife Jill and into tomorrow. What's he going to be doing?
Well, actually, before he gets beds down tonight, he's been hosted by the Trudeaus. He and Jill Biden, the First Lady, is here, and Sophie Gregoire Trudeau and Justin Trudeau are hosting them at their official residence, Rideau Cottage, here in the nation's capital. The first thing the Bidens did when they got here in Ottawa, as soon as they got off Air Force One, right behind me, they met with Governor General Mary Simon. That lasted a few minutes. The big meat of the program is going to be tomorrow. President Biden will meet with Trudeau in a one-on-one, meet with Trudeau's cabinet, and then he's going to speak to Parliament. He'll give an address to Parliament, just as Obama did in 2016. We'll want to watch that. Then they'll take a couple of questions from reporters. After that, a big gala dinner for the Bidens at the Aviation Museum here in Ottawa. And then that's it. The Bidens come back here, hop on the world's most famous plane, and they will be back in their homes in Wilmington, Delaware, tomorrow night. Donna.
Okay. David Akin in Ottawa. Thanks. As David talked about, migrants entering Canada from the U.S. at uncontrolled border crossings is a big issue, especially at Roxham Road in Quebec. The province says it no longer has the resources to handle all the people. Farah Nasser went there to find out what's happening.
This small country road doesn't look like much, but it's been a big source of tension. Half of Roxham Road sits in New York State, the other in Quebec. Last year, nearly 40,000 migrants crossed here in search of a better life, with suitcases, or in William's case, a single gym bag.
Where you come from?
Haiti. His family's in Montreal, which is where he's heading.
Je n'avais famille.
William left his home in Haiti for Brazil, where he says he was able to get a visa, then to the U.S.-Mexico border, where he walked into Texas and took a bus to New York City, where officials have been buying asylum-seekers bus tickets north to Plattsburgh, the last stop before Canada. That's where cab drivers like Tom come in, completing the last half-hour leg to the border.
They're nervous, they're scared. Try to tell them, explain to them that it's safe.
At the border, the same scene plays out over and over.
It's illegal to cross the border here. If you do so, you're going to be arrested for illegal entry in Canada.
The arrest is temporary. They will meet with an immigration official and then they can ask for asylum. This is something they couldn't do at a legal border crossing. There's one about 8 kilometers away.
And that's what some advocates hope a new deal will address.
If you actually allowed people to cross at official ports of entry, it would be possible for more people to cross. So you would think that would be in the Americans' interest.
I think the United States and Canada really need to look at the scale of the problem, the number of refugees coming up. The issue is not Roxham Road. If you displace the problem a few miles down the road, you will have the same problem somewhere else.
When William arrives at the border, He listens to the same line, crosses, and says he will apply for work.
Taxi.
He says he was a taxi driver and forklift operator back home.
Tu es presque à Canada.
I ask him if he's excited or scared.
Peur de quoi?
Scared of what, he asks me.
C'est difficile là-bas?
Haiti was difficult. There was a lot of violence. After years of driving the desperate, Tom says it's what he learned about their journeys just getting here that will stay with him.
Knowing what they went through, some of these Americans ought to try that.
Farah Nasser, Global News, Roxham Road, New York.
The bodies of 2 more people were found last night in the rubble of an apartment building that burned down in Old Montreal. The number of bodies recovered so far is 4.
The responders from all organizations on the ground remain highly motivated and determined to accomplish their mission, because what drives us is to alleviate the anguish and the pain of the families.
3 people are still missing. Officials say there could be more, and a second crane was used today to help search the rubble. Is TickTock a threat to national security? Coming up, what its CEO told a U.S. congressional committee as it contemplates a ban. The CEO of TickTock spent 5 hours today being grilled about the video sharing app. It is wildly popular. It has more than 150 million monthly users just in the U.S. Its CEO insists the app is not a threat to national security, but the Biden administration is threatening to ban it. Jackson Prosco on the tense TickTock hearing.
Rarely has a social media company been grilled like this.
TikTok is a weapon by the Chinese Communist Party to spy on you, manipulate what you see, and exploit for future generations.
TikTok CEO Xiaoji Chu faced tough questions from American lawmakers. They were increasingly ready to ban the platform unless it's sold off by its Chinese parent company, ByteDance.
Has ByteDance spied on American citizens?
I don't think the spying is the right way to describe it.
ByteDance has previously admitted its workers access the data of some U.S. TikTok users. There are broad fears the app could be a gateway for Chinese spying or misinformation.
We do not promote or remove content at the request of the Chinese government.
Just before the hearing, China said it would oppose a forced sale of TikTok. Under questioning, the company touted a plan to wall off American user data instead.
The bottom line is this: American data stored on American soil by an American company, overseen by American personnel.
The stakes have never been higher for TikTok's 1 billion global users. TikTok's creators were called upon to wield their influence in Washington.
If the app were shut down, it would be detrimental, of course, for me and my business, right? Because it's at the core of our branding strategy.
But TikTok can't escape the growing technological Cold War with China. Fear could be its undoing.
In the United States, the Chinese Communist Party is spreading addictive and harmful videos to young Americans through its algorithm.
The world's most popular app may be operating on borrowed time, unable to overcome worry about its deep reach into daily life. Jackson Prosco, Global News.
Persistent problem ahead. What could solve surgery backlogs in Canada? The long wait lists for surgery in Canada that built up during the pandemic are getting shorter, but the backlogs haven't cleared. Catherine Ward reports on the call for a new approach to tackling them.
We care about our patients. We care about each other. The whole thing has been very frustrating.
Anu Marley knows what it's like to wait. Her knee surgery was canceled when her blood pressure skyrocketed. Soon she'll be back on a wait list.
Hopefully it's not going to be a long wait, because walking around with knee pain is quite debilitating and frustrating and painful.
The Canadian Institute for Health Information has been tracking surgery backlogs over the course of the pandemic. While more surgeries are now being done, the backlog is still well above pre-pandemic levels.
We can see that there's only been a couple of occasions where the numbers of surgeries completed have risen above what was done in 2019. If we aren't able to sustain 2019 levels and higher, we won't be able to catch up.
There is a lot of variation for knee surgeries when looking at data from 2022. In British Columbia, 56% of surgeries were performed within the recommended time frame of about 6 months. That drops to 23% for patients in Saskatchewan, and Ontario tops the list with 68% of people getting the surgery within the desired window. Dr. John Townley says the operating rooms at Humber River Hospital in Toronto are running at capacity. They have some of the shortest wait times.
The vast majority of our cases are now day surgery cases, i.e., after the surgery is completed, we do not have to admit the patients to a surgical bed on the floor. They are discharged home.
Experts say the discrepancies are unacceptable.
We run all our healthcare systems in silos. We need a more national approach.
Because quality of life is on the line.
These people are in pain. They can't work. Their families are falling apart. They're suffering from addiction because of their pain.
Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Next, a look at how presidential visits have shaped U.S.-Canada relations. American presidents have been making trips north to visit Canada for 100 years. The first was in 1923 when President Warren G. Harding, the 29th U.S. president, visited Vancouver. And the last was 5 years ago when the 45th U.S. President Donald Trump was in Quebec. That was for a summit of G7 leaders. Eric Sorensen looks at how these visits have shaped our relationship with our neighbor.
President speaking on Canadian soil in 1938.
The breakthrough in modern Canada-U.S. relations began with Franklin Roosevelt. In the depths of the Depression, he broke with America's isolationism and high tariffs.
In negotiating agreements with individual countries, permitting them to sell goods to us.
Roosevelt vacationed in Canada, and with Prime Minister Mackenzie King, established the foundation for relations based on security and trade.
Franklin Roosevelt, he appreciated the strategic importance of Canada. He cultivated Mackenzie King, who also fundamentally understood that Canada's economy and economic growth depended on having privileged access to the United States market.
The relationship between prime ministers and presidents have been tested ever since. Diefenbaker and Eisenhower approved NORAD air defense in this country, but Dief fell out with Kennedy when he did not approve American nuclear warheads here. Pierre Trudeau did not have a warm relationship with Ronald Reagan, yet Brian Mulroney was criticized for being too friendly with him. Still, their closeness is credited with Reagan giving in on key provisions in the two nations' first free trade agreement.
We would not have got it, and especially the key piece of dispute settlement, but for that relationship between Brian Mulroney and Ronald Reagan.
It is the largest bilateral trading relationship in the world.
Some relationships have been warm, others frosty, as when Barack Obama turned down Stephen Harper and the Keystone Pipeline. And the leader's smiles belied intense mistrust between Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump over new American tariffs.
It's kind of insulting. And I highlighted that it was not helping.
Trudeau's relationship with President Biden is very different. They share a genuine affection and common goals.
The center of our conversations will be about jobs and growth.
They also share common challenges with China and Russia and conservative opposition at home.
Dealing with Joe Biden is about as easy as it gets. Yes, he's a protectionist, but he will understand the importance of Canada just the same way Franklin Roosevelt.
Like every prime minister, Justin Trudeau must persuade this president that what's good for Canada is also good for the United States. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
And that is Global National for this Thursday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is Sanakuluwak, Nunavut. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.